Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. Easter is next week, so you will get 2 episodes next week, but then the following Monday, that's April 1st, there will be no episode. But just one missed episode, and it's business as usual on the following Friday. You've been warned. As answers trickle from my rewrite, just as many questions rise, and we're transitioning into the next arc. Just a few more things I need to get out of the way first, and then we're onwards to the next adventure. Today, I'm changing my writing style somewhat. Where previously I skipped several minor details for the more major actions, today I've prepared it to be more like how a novel would read, but not 100% like a novel. This is because Orochimaru's labs are weird in that we don't have very much in the way of screenshots for them. Well, we do, but they're normally blank rooms or boring hallways like at the start of Shippuden. So I'm including more detail to make up for the lack of visuals. Last time, we got new teams. Neji insulted Naruto and he left in a huff, only to be picked up by Orochimaru for a jaunt to his lab for mysterious reasons. And that's exactly where we're starting off. Orochimaru's lab is dark and muggy. There are small lamps that give off a blue-tinted light that are just a little bit too far apart. These create great swells of darkness in the space from one light to the next. Naruto's been here a couple times, but it's well established that most who treat with Orochimaru don't spend any time here. Though Orochimaru walks in complete silence, Naruto grows increasingly uncomfortable. Breaking the silence, Naruto asks Orochimaru if he knows about what happened to the businessman who threw rocks at him. Turning his head very slightly to acknowledge the question, Orochimaru tells Naruto that no, that's such small news, no one would bother telling him about it. Insulted by the insinuation, Naruto falls silent again. Orochimaru tells him that he's been made the general of the Land of Fire's ninja forces. He's got so much bigger fish to fry than some stupid villager throwing rocks at Naruto. He's the Jinchuriki. Of course people are going to wish harm on him. Instead of seeing himself as the victim, Orochimaru asks him why he doesn't just embrace what he is. Muttering, Orochimaru complains that if he had a tailed beast inside of him, there'd be no questioning him any longer. He continues, asking Naruto why he even cares what other people think of him. Naruto doesn't have anything to say to that. Enough of the village are certainly mean to him that he shouldn't care about how they think. Orochimaru suggests that once Naruto grows powerful enough, the villagers will either change their minds, or simply be afraid of him. At that point, then perhaps it just doesn't matter at all. If they're afraid of him, they'd definitely stop throwing rocks. After more minutes of silence, Orochimaru directs Naruto into a simple room. The far wall is one long false wall of sliding doors, presumably for storage. In the middle of the room is a rectangular wooden box with some carvings on its face, but Naruto's too short to read what it says. Along 2 of the walls are countertops with various odd tools that Naruto's never seen before. The 4th wall holds a large glass panel that looks out on absolute darkness. Naruto walks first past the box to look through the glass panel, but even the vague light in the room isn't enough to shed onto anything beyond the glass. The door to the room swings shut, and Orochimaru tells Naruto that there's nothing beyond the glass. It's what's in the room they're in that's interesting. Looking around the room, Naruto shrugs and thinks everything's kind of boring. Orochimaru asks Naruto that if he could speak to a ghost from his past, like his mother, wouldn't he want to? Frowning, Naruto says that it might just make him sad. If she was going to stay dead, then Naruto might not be able to handle letting her go again. Orochimaru tells him that when he was still very little, his own parents died. Unlike Naruto, who just lost his mother, Orochimaru lost both his parents. He was an orphan, forced to find his way alone. Orochimaru suddenly stops talking and whips his head toward the door. Ushering Naruto into the closet, Orochimaru urges him to stay quiet. As the closet door closes, the door to the room opens. Walking in to meet Orochimaru, Minato stands uncomfortable. He tells Orochimaru that he never liked these labs. They're so cold, unpleasant, uninviting. Orochimaru kids that this way no one will hang around for too long. Minato makes it clear to Orochimaru that he turns the other cheek at the immoral experiments that Orochimaru does. But he recognizes openly that some of what Orochimaru does would be completely unacceptable had he not already proved his worth to the village as many times as he had. In exchange, Orochimaru must deliver on some of the more criminal tasks that a Hokage could never carry out. Sneering, Orochimaru acknowledges that this task in particular may have been the most difficult for him to finish. Regardless, its mission accomplished. This was a mission granted to him many weeks ago, but given the task, it was understandably challenging to not get caught in the act. Naruto's afraid of even breathing, knowing how aware his dad was. When the closet door was hastily shut, it smacked against the wall and then slid open a few finger widths from the force. With this, Naruto chanced a couple glances here and there to see his dad talking to Orochimaru. Everything in place to continue, Orochimaru cracks the lid of the box in the middle of the room, advising Minato to look away. Orochimaru complains as he walks to the window that, had he managed to attain Totsuka in his fight with Mangetsu, this whole process would have been far easier. But now that he knew who had it, he could much more easily hunt it down. As his hand comes in contact with the glass, it slips down into a hidden socket in the frame. Orochimaru steps over the wall into the dark room, and moments later comes back into the light with an unconscious man. Throwing him to the floor, Orochimaru places a foot on top of him to stop him from moving, should he wake up, and begins forming a forbidden jutsu. Minato looks down at the man and wonders where Orochimaru retrieved him from. Was he a cutthroat, a criminal, or an enemy ninja? This jutsu was forbidden because it required killing someone. Minato was not unaccustomed to the loss of life. He only hoped that this man wasn't some innocent snatched off the streets or from country roads. Focused on his hand seals and intention, Orochimaru finishes the jutsu. Edo Tensei. Naruto can only hear the jutsu activate, as if he were to peek out in these moments, his dad would practically be staring right at him, given the angle between him and the body. A third person suddenly coughs, and Naruto can hear him shuffling to stand up. After a few moments of silence, the third man suddenly asks in wonder, "Orochimaru, I never thought I'd see you again." His tone is friendly, almost loving, like a father seeing his son after many years. A few more seconds pass and he continues, "Young Minato, you drove off the fox then?" "Yes," Minato confirms quietly, his voice shaking. With the help of your sacrifice, of course, Lord Third." "Old man, we have some questions for you," Orochimaru leads, cutting off any effort at a reunion. "Do you know your name?" "Hiruzen Sarutobi," he answers fast and clearly, though confused that Orochimaru would even ask him that. "You died 12 years ago, Sensei," Orochimaru tells him. "We've brought you back with the second's forbidden jutsu." Looking at his body, the third Hokage seems to confirm Orochimaru's assertion. Looking back at Orochimaru, the third repeats, "Orochimaru, I never thought I'd see you again." Rolling his eyes, Orochimaru tells Minato that Hiruzen was obviously quite weak in his old age. It's better to ask his questions and evade the endless loop of niceties. Minato asks Lord Third if he can get some answers to very important questions, which he agrees to. Continuing, his first question for the late Hokage is, "Who released the fox on the night of your death?" "Oh, yes," Hiruzen mumbles, bringing a hand to his chin to rub it in thought. "Yes, it's a shame the fox killed me, because I very much would have liked to know why he attacked." "He?" Minato asks, noticing the acknowledgement of identity in Hiruzen's voice. He was a child of the Uzumaki clan," Hiruzen says, continuing, "Such a shame to kill one of his own. If only you'd known Kushina. She was always so full of energy." Minato falls silent for a few seconds, clearly perturbed by Hiruzen's spotty memory. but Naruto's too scared to peek his head out at the moment, lest he be discovered. Such a kind girl she was. Young Minato? Is that you? Which member of the Uzumaki clan killed Kushina? Minato asks, his voice flat now, almost detached. Nagato, Hiruzen finally reveals, nodding with recognition. And, such a powerful man. The clan has never seen his ilk before. Aki was so proud of him. It's a shame he had to kill Kushina and become their enemy. She was such a good host for the fox. But it was the other one. Hiruzen mumbles, his eyes going cloudy. Nagato would have never... Who was the other one to help Nagato kill Kushina? Orochimaru interjects, annoyed by Hiruzen's short attention span. The Edo Tensei was no perfect jutsu. The known theory was that the more powerful the person, the better their memory would be during Edo Tensei. Orochimaru figured that a Kage would have more sense than this. But perhaps he had grown too old to be properly reliable. If he had died at the same age that Minato was now, he'd probably be fully coherent. He was a thief. Oh, a thief of all clans, Hiruzen tells Orochimaru, his face turning sour. On many occasions, he had snuck into the village to steal family secrets. Even stole the eyes of an Uchiha, if they didn't have reason enough to be angry. 12 years ago, what were the Uchiha angry about back then? Minato asks, distracted by the additional details. No. He stole those eyes 5, maybe 6 years ago. Hiruzen corrects, which Minato has to further correct in his own head. 12 minus 17 years ago, and Uchiha had their eyes stolen? Minato asks Orochimaru, but the latter shrugs that he has no idea of the attack. Hiruzen, a few months ago we had an attack from a group of bald men who looked like monks. They tried to steal a daughter of the Hyuga house. Those same men were working for a turncoat Uchiha who's working with a group called the Akatsuki. Do you know anything about this? Minato presses. The Hyuga house. The daughter? That house only has sons. Hiyashi is the current heir. He should be? Sensei! Orochimaru slams a countertop, pulling Hiruzen's attention. Turning to Minato, Orochimaru tells him that he has to keep his questions simple and to the point. Lord Third, do you know what the Akatsuki is? Yes. That Uzumaki child. Nagato. Hiruzen mutters, clearly struggling to find the words. He was the most powerful man I'd ever seen. Maybe even more powerful than Sensei! Orochimaru snaps again, cutting off the third Hokage. I hate the Edo Tensei. Orochimaru had used the Edo Tensei to create a labor force in the past for his own means. These were zombies that were difficult to control or give instructions to. They didn't last very long either, a few minutes for the particularly weak ones, an hour for the stronger ones. The cost of the jutsu as it was made the results a waste of time and energy, even when it came to someone as powerful as the third Hokage, according to Orochimaru. Lord Third, do you know the connection between Nagato and the Akatsuki? Of course I do. Nagato's in charge. He founded it. The Akatsuki tried to steal Hanabi, and now they've taken Hinata? Minato reasons out, his tone turning to acid. Not necessarily, Orochimaru tells him. We haven't actually drawn a line between the bald men and the Akatsuki. Lord Third, do you know any other members of the Akatsuki? Minato asks. Yes, I believe so. That young man. Oh, what was his name? Brilliant red hair. Though not whom you think. Oh, it's been many years. Oh, Sasori of the Sand. Hiruzen mutters, struggling more than ever to remember the name. Orochimaru sighs at the slow answers and tells Minato to stay on point. Taking the lead, Orochimaru asks Hiruzen who the second man was that helped kill Kushina. I never learned his name. He had the Sharingan, which went well with his red hair. Hiruzen whispers, shaking his head in disapproval. The Uzumaki clan didn't even acknowledge his existence. Okay, my turn, Orochimaru says after several moments of Minato's silent thinking. Sensei, a couple months ago I chased some unmarked ninja along the borders of fire and wind. They led me to a red-haired man with the Sharingan, Orochimaru tells him to Minato's shock. Without prompting, he attacked me. He was strong enough to rival Hanzo, the man who gave your students their legendary titles. Is this the same man as who you know? Hanzo of the Rain. Yes? Red hair, Sharingan, Orochimaru refocuses. Yes, I'd heard that he started his own... What was it now? It was not too... His own clan. He called them... What were they? Oh, the man with the Sharingan eyes... sound... Hiruzen's body suddenly falls to the ground as Orochimaru releases the Edo Tensei, to Minato's dismay. Orochimaru, you idiot! What are you doing? Minato asks angrily, looking down at the only man who'd given him any answers to his burning questions. The Uzumaki with the Sharingan is the same man who was in the Land of Grass during the border dispute. I recognized him, Orochimaru tells Minato. Him? Nagato, Shisui, the Akatsuki, heck, the Uzumaki. They're all linked somehow. The lab shakes suddenly, and as Orochimaru and Minato struggle to keep their footing, Naruto falls through the derailed sliding door, accidentally revealing himself. Upon seeing him, Minato's face turns from confused to angry as he looks back to Orochimaru. Orochimaru? Where does that decision become a right one? He asks in reference to Naruto's presence. You need to grab Naruto and take your leave, Orochimaru tells him. That sounds like one of my more dangerous prisoners has escaped. I'd better not be hearing about this escapee later, Minato complains, grabbing Naruto and telling Orochimaru to get a move on to the front lines before vanishing and leaving Orochimaru to his problems. Resting under a discreet stone outcropping, Kakashi pulls out some water and takes a mouthful. Squatting, he clears an area of dirt and grabs a stick to draw into it. We're just a day's trip from the land of hot water, where our mission will officially begin. Looking up at his squad, he begins to explain to them their assignments. Hayate, you'll take up the rear. You're no sensor, but your natural senses are sharp. Keep your sword ready for any trouble, Kakashi explains, drawing a little face of Hayate in the dirt. Hand on hilt, Hayate nods at the assignment, looking down at the drawing of himself and questioning Kakashi's artistic integrity. Anko, you'll be at the front. Your reflexes are honed, and I'll be watching for any microaction you make to alert the rest of the team of trouble. Chuckling at being the lead, Anko dusts her hands in the loose dirt and mushes a finger into her spot of Kakashi's crude drawing. I'll be second from the front with Pakun at my side. We should have a pretty decent sensory range. With my Sharingan, I can also assist more quickly than the rest of you. Drawing a nearly perfect picture of Pakun, Kakashi glances at his trusty sidekick and receives approval for the art. Choza, you'll be second from the back. Your Earth-style techniques can set up a perfect, last-minute defense should any of us need it. We have been assigned by Lord Fourth to find and retrieve Hinata Hyuga, Kakashi tells them at last. They had already been traveling for several days before Kakashi told them where they were going or why. There was a team sent to find each of the missing kids. However, the cold truth is that Lady Hinata has been granted more importance than the others. Kakashi looks at the hurt Choza is trying to hide. We are not to return home until we find and retrieve her. And that's the end of today's episode. What a huge information dump, huh? I tried to alter my voice at least a little bit between the three characters. I'm no good at impressions, so I just tried to give Hiruzen an old person's voice. Hopefully it worked out okay. For those who have binged the story up to this point, there's probably a lot of loose ends connecting together right now. Minato assigned this task to Orochimaru since before the Chunin exams, so it's been a long time. Also, I realized while writing this that the memory issues of my version of the Edo Tensei is reminiscent of dementia, and it actually made me a little bit sad. For Minato to attempt to speak to the man who appointed him to continue leading the village in his stead could be pretty overwhelming. Meanwhile, Orochimaru might have just been exasperated by Hiruzen's presence. He could have also been frustrated to see the man he'd grown up knowing to be so strong, so lost in thought and confused. I don't know anyone with any form of dementia, so it's difficult for me to relate to that frustration or sorrow that goes along with it. Anyway, there's a lot that came out with this episode. As we proceed onwards, that'll remain relevant. So if you're a stickler for details, might want to write down to come back to this episode later, because much of the information here will remain important for the rest of the rewrite. I was going to do the whole third Hokage thing during the intermission between the Chunin exams, but with the events of Phase 3, it made more sense to me to include it now. Anyway, enough of that for now. The sky's the limit.